Okay, this video will help you out with a few things that you may or may not have encountered in the past. Um, and I'll go from easiest to hardest. But keep in mind when I get done with the video that my assembly drawing is not complete. You'll still have to go back and add balloon leaders to the parts and a parts list, center mark, center line, so on and so forth. So this is just to highlight some of the things that you may have come across in your drawing. So first thing I want to point out on my drawing, it may not be on yours, but I have this strange looking art thing that showed up on my view. Okay, occasionally when you're doing fillets, especially complex fillets where you have three different surfaces meeting, you'll end up with some strange edges that will project into your layout from time to time. And while I was in my part drawing, I didn't even notice it. It's right here. That's what's showing up on the detail sheet. And if I get my arrow over here, then you can see that edge of the visible line that's showing up in my detail sheet. So I need to take that out because that's not actually something I want to show. So what I want to do, make sure that you don't activate your view. Just go in there and hold down the control key on your keyboard and then click each of the lines and right click and uncheck visibility, and it'll just turn those lines off so we won't have to look at them. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is you'll remember from your reading that shafts aren't supposed to be sectioned. There's a whole list of things that shouldn't be sectioned in assembly views, but shafts is one of them. So we can actually take care of that in the model tree over here. Under the view, if you expand that, you see the assembly, and under the assembly you see the individual parts. And if I go down to my shaft part and right click, go to section participation, change it from section to none, and that way when Inventor creates the section view, it won't section the shaft, okay, which is what we want. So I'm ready to create my section view, so I'll go to place views and then section. I'll click on the section that I want to create. And since this object is symmetrical, I'll just go down to the center point of the drawing and kind of pull my crosshairs up until I see the tracking line near the crosshairs. I'll left click and then go down, and then when I get to the bottom, I'll left click, right click, and select continue, and then I'll come over here and drop the assembly section view. And as you can see, the shaft came out unsectioned, which is exactly what we want. Of course, you need to go back and add center mark, center lines here. So that was nice. That made us create that view pretty easily. But something happened here that you may or may not have noticed. You'll remember from your reading that you're not supposed to section ribs. Oh, by the way, before I get started with that, I had already created a section view on the sheet, so it's showing up as BB. Let me double click on that section view, and for one I want to change my view identifier to A instead of B, and I want to turn off this. So let me just click OK. So now my section is AA. Okay, so this last part is a little bit difficult, and it's one of the things that Inventor doesn't do so great in my opinion. But anyway, so we're going to take care of this part here that should not have been sectioned. Okay. What I'll do first is I'll double click on the view, and I want to turn on tangent edges and hidden lines. Okay, and you'll see all these lines show up that that you didn't think about being there. Okay. Now what I want to take advantage of is the symmetry of the tension arm. This surface is on both sides of the rib, okay, and we can see that on this line right here, these hidden lines right there, okay, as they go around the object. Okay, so what I want to do now that those lines are available to me is left click on the view and select create sketch. All right, and I will go along, and this is the part, the cylindrical part, where it starts curving down, and then it goes down and meets that lower lower surface here. Okay, and What we hope to do is to just eliminate the part, the rib part. Okay, so I'm just going to go around and use project geometry. I'm going to click that arc, and there's, if you zoom in, there's some stuff that you wouldn't even think about being there. Now yours may not be exactly the same. It'll probably be close depending on how you did your part construction. You should have something similar to this in your drawing that you need to find. Okay, so I just projected those for the simple purpose of I'm going to go back over this and basically recreate these lines. Now, I'm normally very exact about how I go about things, but since we're just trying to eliminate a section area here, and a rib is like a non-essential, non-mating portion of the part, what I'm about to do is not quite so exact. And to be honest with you, I really don't like this kind of thing, but let me project that line right there too, because I'm going to need that. We're trying to create a closed boundary, so that's why I keep hitting clicking the project geometry button. So anyway, I'm going to just go around and kind of draw over this. Now, for some reason, Inventor, if the line that I was using to project the geometry were a continuous line, I think I'd be done now. I don't think I'd have to draw over this. But for some reason, Inventor won't project a hidden line into a sketch. It'll project it as far as geometry goes, but it won't make it part of the sketch. So, so anyway, we'll try to take care of this, and I'm going to use a series of arcs and lines. So the arc command goes beginning, end, and then back to the middle, and you just want to get it pretty close. Actually, that's kind of ugly, but it's going to work fine for our purposes. I think when we zoom out, we won't be able to see how ugly that really was. So yeah, that's pretty bad. So this kind of thing is not my favorite, but again, it's going to be necessary to be able to reproduce this according to the rules, because Inventor just sees this portion of the part just like it does any other part, and any other portion of the part, I should say. So it sections it just like the rest of it. And then one more arc here, and hopefully that will be enough. Okay, so let me select Finish Sketch, and then I'll double click on the view, display options. Let me turn off the tangent edges and the hidden lines. Okay, so that looks good. Looks like we have our boundary now in the sketch. So let me left click on the hatch that was there, and then right click and hide. Now I want to double click these lines and go back into the sketch. Okay, so this part can get a little bit funny. I'm going to select Project Geometry. I'm just going to highlight that whole area there, and then Fill Hatch Region. And hopefully, yes, our boundary is selected. Now, it just so happens this is an iron part, so ANSI 31 is appropriate. So I'll just click the hatch and then OK. And again, I want to project geometry, and I'll just click around this area here, because this is part of the object that needs to be sectioned for this part. Fill Hatch Region. Click on the hatch button. OK, and then also this area down here. Fill Hatch Region. Hatch button. OK. And Finish Sketch, and you see all our hatching there. One last thing I need to do to these lines I created. I need to select these and change the line weight. So I'm clicking all of them while I'm holding down the control button on the keyboard, so I can select them all at once. And then right click. Uh-oh. It didn't like that for some reason. I'm trying to change the line weight. So let me just pick a few of these. Go to Properties, and I want to change it to 0.02. And do the same thing up here. .02. Finish sketch. And so